Ciao amici e benvenuti nella Peso sulla Luna. Hello friends. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you know me and you know this channel, you know by my attempt at an Italian introduction to this video that this is my series in which I use Terre de Marseille adjacent or antique Italian decks to help me unpack the central message of the spread that I read earlier in the week. And it's generally a larger spread. And I'm in the middle of my deep dive into the Lenormand system. So that earlier spread was the Lenormand Spread. And now I have pulled out these cards to help us try to distill an essential message from that spread. And I've got the spread already laid out. But before we look at that spread, I'd like to do a couple of things. First, a few things actually. First, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to thank you for subscribing to the channel. I'd like to thank you for commenting in the comment section. I'd like to thank you for hitting the thumbs up button. All of those things that you do help us grow. Help other people find our community and join us if they choose to. So, thank you for doing those things. Other business is that, and maybe subconsciously I chose to use this deck because next week I'm going to be in Italy. So for 1 week, I am not going to have my normal weekly spread. However, I thought about it. I thought about trying to record another week's worth of Lenormand and reaction spreads, but I just wasn't able to work it out. However, I am beginning what might end up being a monthly series, which I'm calling my deck dive. It's like a deep dive, only a deep dive into one particular deck. What I'm going to do is I have done already, is I've used one deck for myself for a month. And I'm going to do a review of that deck, maybe once a month. And I've got one of those all ready to videotape before I leave for Italy. So that will be the video for next week. And then when I get back, hopefully on a monthly basis, I will have the time to work with one deck privately and then do a review. Now, if you're interested in recommending decks for me to do a deep dive into, you can put those recommendations in the description box below or on the community tab. Just saying, possibilities. But I've got one all lined up, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so 2 things of order of business. Third thing is, I highly recommend that you watch the Lenormand Spread video before watching this one. Yeah, because this is a reaction to that. And this video might actually be a reaction to just one card in that spread. And so without knowing how that card interacted with the rest of the spread, this reading might have a little less significance for you. And maybe you're asking yourself, why did he choose to read this spread in this way? So what I will do is I'll put a card up here for you to click on and hop on over and watch that video. You don't have to watch any of these videos in one sitting, by the way. You can watch them in bits and pieces. That's perfectly kosher. So watch that and then come watch this, so you know why I'm reading this spread the way I'm reading it. And just in case you did do that, and you would like a little bit of a refresher, that spread was about information coming into us on our journey of transition or transformation and our growth in knowledge, right? There was an idea of growth of knowledge leading to our feeling of success and our personal strength. in that spread. And it was a bright and sunny spread with answers and sunlight and maturity and strength, right? All of those wonderful things. But there was one card that was a little bit problematic. Which might be leading to a choice. Yeah? And I think that is what this spread is pointing to. So, what are we going to do? I will show you the spread. And then we will briefly talk about the spread itself and the decks that I'm using. And then I will show you the spread in its two parts. We'll read the tarot cards first, and then we'll read the oracle cards. Okay, friends? I'm sure that makes sense. If you've been here before, I know that makes sense. If not, just follow along. We'll be on this journey together. I'm here to be with you. Okay, so friends, let me show you the spread right now. Friends, if you are a regular viewer of this channel, you might be thinking to yourself, oh, he used that deck again. Yes, so I have two decks in play in this spread, right? You saw a fairly long line of cards at the top. They're from a tarot deck. The tarot deck is one that may look very similar to a deck I've used in the past. I used it once in the past. This is the second edition of that deck. This is called the green, I'm not the green, it's called the Great Parade, second edition. This is the greener version of that deck. And it's a redrawing of cards that were from Bologna, they're Bolognese, and which is in Italy, from around 1500. Yeah, so it's a wonderful deck. It's a very simple looking deck, right? The images are very simple. There are no switch outs. They're standard tarot characters in the triumphs, right? In the trumps, like the Pope and the Popess have not been switched out. The Emperor and the Empress have not been switched out. They're all very standard, but in a very antique wood block print style. Of course, these are recreations of that and redrawings of that. Beautiful deck, lovely deck, wonderful to shuffle. The cardstock is magnificent. It's right up there with Usi and Artisan Tarot, that kind of professional casino cardstock kind of feel to it. It's wonderful to shuffle, and it looks good, and it looks clean, and it's durable. So, fabulous deck. The Oracle deck, I used this Oracle deck last week, and I didn't choose to use this Oracle deck again because I thought it pairs very nicely with the Tarot de Marseille above it. I decided to use it again because I really enjoyed using it last week, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed using it last week. And so, I decided to use it again. I don't think it looks bad, particularly bad with the tarot deck I used for this week, but it doesn't particularly really look like it's harmonious with it, does it? So I still wanted to use it, so that's what we're doing. Yes? So the deck. Oh, what is the deck? The Oracle deck that you just saw. It's a round deck, and I like using round decks. And I think this Oracle deck is a good training wheels deck for anyone who might be interested in exploring reading with round decks. This will help your journey into doing that. It's called the 1111 Oracle. And there will be links in the description box below for both of these decks. They're both independently published, and they are both still available at the time of this video recording. So, go hop on over, get these decks. And I'm not saying you have to use them together. You might want to use them separately, but I think they're wonderful decks. Okay, so friends, what are we going to do now? We are going to look at the row of tarot cards above, and I'll explain why there are so many of them in just a moment. So if you're ready, let's dive in together. Here are those cards. Friends, you saw from left to right we had the Empress. Now, there are no titles on these cards, right? Could you tell that that was the Empress? Could you tell by the shield? Could you tell by the globe and the scepter in her hand with the fleur de lis that that must be the Empress? Well, that was the Empress. And then we had the Knight of Cups. That's pretty easy to tell, right? And then we had the Devil. That should be very easy to tell. And then we had the King of Swords. And then we had the Three of Cups. Probably the easiest one to identify of the bunch. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, why in the heck are there 5 cards here? And if you know me, you know a couple of things. One, for my Tarot de Marseille and Italian-style decks, I start off with a 3-card spread, a non-positional 3-card spread. And I read those kinds of decks directionally, which means that I look at the line of sight, the line of gaze, and I don't mean homosexual men. I mean the line of gaze, the sight. And the first, can you tell which cards were the first 3? Maybe not. It could have gone a couple of different ways, right? But the first 3 cards I chose, or that came out of the deck, were the Empress, the Knight of Cups, and then the Devil. I could have stopped there, but I did not, because I see that the Knight is riding towards the Empress, but I see that the Devil is walking in the other direction. So I was curious, where is that little devil going? So I pulled another card, and we got the King of Swords. I could have stopped there, but I saw that the King of Swords has his eye on something off the spread, and so I laid another card, which is how we got that terminus of the Three of Cups. So we end up having 2 Cups cards here, 2 Major Arcana, and 1 Sword, right? So I told you I'm reading this directionally, and we see that there are 2 directions here. And I didn't really realize it when I was pulling the cards. But after having read, I should say, the Lenormand Spread of this week, and how that one card kept pulling me in 2 different directions. Do you remember which card that was? That was the Whip card, right? The Whip card, with both the whip and the broom on it. And I don't read Lenormand differently by deck, yeah? If this whip card has only the whip, I will read it this way. If this card has only the broom, I will read it that way. And if this card has both a whip and a broom, I will read it another way. I don't do that, right? But that particular card in that particular spread seemed to me to be pointing in 2 different directions. And so I see that bidirectionality indicated in this spread as well, and so I think that's what we're going to do. We've got the more spiritual, loving side direction to move, and we've got the more material, more chaotic, maybe materially focused direction of the spread. And actually, for you, let's see, it would be the spiritual side would be moving to your left, right? Correct, left, right, to your left, correct, and then the material side would be moving to your right in this direction. So we've got this bifurcation. Is that correct? Bifurcation? Let me know in the comments below. So we're going to start off with the Knight of Cups and see where the loving path is leading us. And then we'll look at the other direction. So what is the Knight of Cups? I love this Knight of Cups. Look at him. Very romantic looking knight. A very serene expression on his face, moving in the direction of the Empress. So this is what? This is the knight who follows her there. Remember, it makes no difference whatever body we inhabit. Whether we're in a male body, we're in a female body, we're in a trans body or a cis body, we're in an intersex body. Doesn't matter. We have all aspects of all of the cards within ourselves. We are all kings, we're all queens, we're all knights, and we're all pages. Yeah? We have all gender within us in the way I understand self and gender. So we are all knights. We all have this quality within ourselves of following our hearts, our idealism and our romanticism. Yeah? Romance. And also we have the ability to notice how he holds the cup up. He offers his love. He offers his heart. We can do that. Being open and sincere and simple-hearted. Now, not complex and full of our past traumas, but simple-heartedly offering our hearts good actions, sincere love. And that moves us in the direction of what? Our inner Empress. Our fertility, our creativity, our abundance. Our ability to protect and take care. Remember, the bear in the Lenormand card was able to protect and take care of the partner card, right? So we move in the direction of our ability to care for those around us. We can be charming. Yeah, our artistry is available. Our sense of beauty and our appreciation of beauty and being beautiful is possible. Yeah, we are creative. We are vital. We have a vital impulse of growth. And there was a lot of growth implied in the Lenormand Spread, right? Probably intellectual growth, but intellectual growth is also creative. Yeah, and our emotional intelligence, especially with these two cards together, our emotional intelligence is also enhanced. In a simple way, in a pure way, in a loving way. Yeah? Open-heartedly. So that's one path to go. With the whip card, doing the repetitive work of clearing out the dust and debris, clearing it out, exercising our growth in knowledge on a path of love and openness, success, and courage, right? The other path is a little different. The other path starts with the devil. And you see that the devil has a face in the crotch, right? Which could be playful. It could be a little bit of passion, a little bit of fantasy, yeah? Enjoying being embodied, right? But the devil is also chaos. It's also attachment. It can be our dark side. It's our side of paradoxes and contradictions. And when we are contradictory, we are also contrary, which reminds me of that part of the potential aspect of the whip card, which is aggressive. It is punitive. It's lashing out at people. It is being verbally aggressive. being argumentative in a kind of reactive way, right? Like a unconscious reactivity can be expressed by this card as well. Especially when this card seems to be moving in the direction of mind, right? So that unconscious stuff that is paradoxical, is contrary, is maybe even the dark side comes out with the King of Swords, which is head over heart. So it moves into our heads, and while the King of Swords can be disciplined and true, and the card of truth, and the skillful handling of words and concepts, though that skillful handling of words and concepts and the truth that is being told, we're not lying, but we could be using that truth as a weapon. Yeah? Because our heads are dominating our hearts. Now, we have the potential to leap into the unknown if we're playful, perhaps, if we are passionate and we are enjoying our pleasurable selves in the world. That could inspire us to leap into the unknown and explore what we have not explored yet. But if the darker side of self comes up and infects our minds, then this king could go on a rampage, a warpath, can begin attacking people, can become aggressively antagonistic. Even though, and you see this king is holding both weapons in both hands, right? Even though what we really want, even in that point, is what's on our mind is we really want this card. We really want this, which is what? Community. We want to be uninhibited. We want to express our emotions. We want to feel that birth of love. And the idealism from that Knight of Cups is echoed in this Three of Cups. Fervently, youthful, loving. Maybe even intoxication with love. We want to have that possibility, but this king coming from the potential dark side of the devil, though the king is longing for this, might end up destroying this with his swords. Yeah? So if this devil card really does seem to be another card which could be pointing into two different directions. So we have some choices. We can move out into the world as the Knight of Cups, right? Offering our hearts, open, innocent, moving into our creativity. Or we can engage our more material side, and then we want to be careful. If we maintain our playfulness and our pleasure and our fantasy and enjoy our passions, we can move into the King of Swords, energizing our interest in diving into the unknown and exploring the unknown and being aware of the thoughts that we're having and putting our thoughts into action, into the action of love and into the action of idealized love, idealized, fervent, youthful love. Or the chaos can arise from within. We can engage with the chaos And our dark, paradoxical natures can come up, which can turn this king into a critic, into an aggressive speaker, into a domineering person, domineering even the heart, the love that we have within, can turn this person cruel. Even though that person still has the desire for this love in the world. So three paths that we can choose. One of them, dangerous. Not dangerous in the sense of, oh my God, there's a car coming, you're going to die. Not that kind of dangerous, but dangerous in the sense of, if we're not careful, we could go to the dark side. If we follow the path of the night, we're probably cool, if we can maintain that. If we follow the path of the devil, we really are going to want to be careful that we don't slip into the chaos, into our reactivity, into our negative habits of thought. We need to be very precise about maintaining our playfulness and our passions and our enjoyment of the physical world, which is also good, all very good. But there's a trap in there that we want to be careful to skirt, to avoid, right? So, again, it's really interesting. This spread, I think, really is focusing on that whip broom divergence in that card that came up in the Lenormand spread. Now, we have 3 oracle cards that will help us, I think. Now, I was momentarily tempted to pull 5 oracle cards for these 5 tarot cards above, but I realized, no, that would just be overwhelming and unnecessary. So I restrained myself. I only pulled 3 oracle cards to give us some direction with these 5 tarot cards above. So let me show you those oracle cards right now. Friends, you saw from left to right, the 3 cards were Fool's Gold, Angelic Approval, and Mirror Mirror. Also interesting, the card in the center was completely reversed. The card on the left was facing off to the left. Now the top of the card is facing off to the left. And then the card on the right was facing off to the right. So there's this reversal in the center, and the 2 cards are facing these directions, right? They're pulling apart from each other. Just like the spread above. Interesting, yes. But we're going to read these cards from left to right. And we start off with too good to be true. Now, the Fool's Gold card was too good to be true, right? What does that tell us? It tells us that we want to be careful of something. Yeah, oh, here it is. Let me show it to you. Yeah? Let me show it to you upright so you see the image. But the too good to be true part was actually pointing up. So it's telling us to be careful of something that appears too good to be true. Be discerning about what we put faith in. Whether it's information, people, or objects. If it looks too good to be true, we want to be aware that it might not be as good as it looks, right? So Fool's Gold. Now, remember, Fool's Gold is another word for pyrite. And pyrite is actually a very helpful and useful crystal that I use in my work with crystals. I've got 2 chunks right there on my desk. Pyrite is a good thing. So Fool's Gold can also be a good thing. But when we think of Fool's Gold, we think of tricksters and tricking, kind of like this guy here can be a trickster, right? So, too good to be true. We want to be careful of what we see, and if it looks really, really good, we want to be aware that it might not be. The next card, which was upside down, was this card. And the message at the bottom of the card is, your angels say, pause. So, why? Because what we're looking at might not be as good as it seems. This makes perfect sense. We want to hold off, take a break from a project, a goal, or a relationship. We may want to rethink our plans, or maybe the choice is unhealthy or unwise. Why? Because what we're looking at might not be as good as it looks. So we're asking to pause. Take a break. Don't move forward. Because we've got these two choices here. We don't want to choose the one that looks the best, because it might not be. And it might actually be unhealthy or an unwise choice. And so the next card is what? It's this one, mirror, mirror. And the side that was pointing up was negative projection, which means what? We could be projecting our own negative traits onto another. Loving and accepting could be difficult because we've trained ourselves not even to accept not even ourselves. And because we're trained not even to accept ourselves fully, we project what is not good onto the good, and we project onto what is false the bright and shiny, what is it called? It's a facade. Yeah? And so because of this negative projection, we're not seeing things necessarily clearly, correctly. And so we want to take a pause. Because we might be inclined to choose that thing that looks bright and shiny, but that could actually be a negative or an unwise choice. Now, thinking of that spread above, the one that looks shiny and bright is the one that is the Knight of Cups to me. Which one looks more interesting to you? The Devil or the Knight of Cups? So for me, the Knight of Cups is the one that looks shiny and wonderful, and the one that I would negatively be projecting on might be the Devil. So I might want to stop and rethink, and I might want to choose the path of the Devil and do it with eyes wide open. Right? But for you, maybe you negatively project onto the Knight as being somebody of Cups, as being somebody foolish, somebody with their heart out, offering their heart, being idealist. That's a stupid thing to do. I want to take the path of the realist, the one enjoying the material world and be playful and passionate. Maybe that's what looks bright and shiny to you. But maybe you're negatively projecting onto the Knight of Cups. And so you want to pause and really think about what is your best path. Yeah? That makes sense, doesn't it? I think this is pick and, what is it called, where you can choose the direction a story is going to go in. Some of the more modern, not necessarily games, but like interactive stories. Maybe this is one of those, yeah, where you get to choose which path you're going to go. But now there is another way for these oracle cards to interact, and it's where they meet. So the first meeting we have here is what? So let me put them in the direction that they were in originally, which is this direction. So we had the fool's gold pointing this way, and we had the angelic approval pointing down, right? So these two interact this way, which puts these two messages together. Treasure what has value, and your angels say maybe. So what does that mean? That means that things of real value are better than transitory happiness. Or we might want to rethink our priorities and give our time to what is really important. Why? Because a project, plan, or relationship can succeed under the right circumstances. So remember above, fool's gold, pause, because you probably are about to make the wrong choice. Below, we're being told that there is a good choice. There is a right choice. A project, plan, or relationship can succeed under the right conditions. So it's not like we're heading for a wrong choice and any of our plans, our projects, our relationships, whatever we're focusing on, it's a no-go. That's not what the spread is saying. It's saying, be careful of what we're choosing, but there is a good choice. And the right mindset, strategy, and intention, and the resources that are available to us are important. But there is a good choice here. And so maybe we can make the right choice if we are following the thing that has value instead of following the fool's gold. Yeah? So this is a discernment. That is probably the title of this week's video. Discernment. So the next pairing of cards is what? It's these two, right? Which say, let's see, angelic approval was up that way, and this card was facing off, was facing off this way. So it would come up this way for you. Yes, this way. So on this card we have, right here we have, your angels say wait, and this card is differences. So these two messages are coming together. Your angels say wait and differences. So what is that saying? It's saying that our timing, or perhaps other factors, might be important for our success. We want to wait for the right time. Especially planning and resources are important for us. We want to plan well. We want to make sure we've got all of our ducks in a row, we have the resources. And we have the possibility to change our minds. That's okay. But we're perceiving someone or something as different right now. And that could be beneficial or not. If we are getting the impression that perhaps our partner is not exactly what we thought our partner was, if we're seeing a new aspect of our partner, different from the way we saw them before, that could be for a benefit to us, or it could be not so good. It could be a negative projection too, right? But we also want to remember that opposites can attract. So if we've been seeing how our partners and our partners and us have been we're so similar, there's so many things we have in common, and suddenly we start to see, oh, but we don't, that's different. They like that and I don't like that. Oh, that's different. Those differences can also be what bring us together in a way. Now remember, law of attraction is like attracts like. Yes. But also opposites attract in the sense that the like is attracting the like, and the opposite aspects are filling out a fuller picture and are more perhaps attractive of other things in the universe. Does that make sense? If it were just only opposites, I don't think that they would really attract. There has to be a continuity for them to actually be brought, the opposite aspects to bind them together. Yeah? I mean, if they were actually completely different, there would be no attraction between them at all. So, when we think of a magnet, we think a positive side and a negative side, and they attract, but they're still the same material. There's a sameness between them, right? There's a metallic sameness to both the positive and the negative side, which is that sameness that's bringing them together. A magnetized bit of iron will not attract an orange. You know what I'm saying? Right? There has to be a common element to these things that we call opposite that's going to bring them together. So there's a unity of spectrum, a unity of material that has a spectrum. And it's that unity of material that is attractive to each other, even though aspects might be opposite. Because there's no exact twin in the universe, right? We might actually be genetic twins, and there are still opposing sides to those twins, right? The Gemini. Think of the Gemini twins, right? They're different, but they attract each other. They are unified in their common material. So, long story short, yeah, there are opposite aspects which fill out the experience of our relationship. But there's also that commonality, the common material of our joining, that joins us together, of like attracting like, with the colors, the spectrum of diversity around it. Does that make sense? Am I explaining what I'm trying to say clearly? I hope. So, what is it saying? It's saying to us, yes, we want to take a break. We want to, not take a break, we want to pause. There is a good solution here. If we've got the resources and we think it out well, we choose the right timing for doing actions, we allow the other to be other, we don't react against that, we don't lash out against that. We dive into that unknown. Remember, this king is able to dive into the unknown of the differences, right? So we have that possibility. But this knight is also willing to offer up the heart into the unknown. So we have those two paths here. We still have these two paths. So some discernment is asked of us in this time. And success is possible. But we want to pause. We don't want to rush in. We want to be certain that we are following the path of value instead of the path of the glitter and glamour. Right? So which is it for you? I'd like to hear in the description box below. Which path is the path of glamour or glitter for you? Is it the devil or is it the Knight of Cups? And with discernment, can you see value in the other path? Let me know in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think? How would you read these cards? Friends, Thank you. Thank you for joining me on this journey of the spread. And I think this really does help us dive into that whip card very interestingly. So let's make good choices. Let's not rush into anything. The spread for this week is a long distance journey, right? So let's not rush in. Let's make deliberate choices with discernment. So thank you. Thank you. And now, as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.